Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, November 13th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, ready to break down a Monday card. Just 2 games on tap, but I got to admit, they are very interesting storylines with both of those games tonight. We'll get to those in just a moment, but first we'll begin with a look back at yesterday. And of course, the day started with the Blackhawks and the Panthers. Florida getting the 4-3 win yesterday afternoon against the Chicago Blackhawks. And Florida, I guess the win kind of grabbed some of the headlines, but not all of them. Connor Bedard, another spectacular day for him. 2 goals, 2 of the highlight reel variety as well. The first goal that he scored was just stealing the puck from somebody, just a theft, picked his pocket, and then almost in the same movement, just roofed it over Sergei Bobrovsky. It was a phenomenal goal, brilliant shot on the semi-breakaway he had on the second goal, and he is heating up. CB98 is really starting to cook right now for the Chicago Blackhawks. Fun to watch. I think he's getting more comfortable month into the season with NHL speed, NHL, style of play more than anything else, which is a lot different coming from junior, especially for an 18-year-old kid. So you're definitely starting to see him get more comfortable. Florida gets the win there, 4-3. Debacle for the Minnesota Wild, 8-3 win for the Dallas Stars, and just absolutely a horrible defensive display once again from the Minnesota Wild. They've had too many of these type of games throughout the course of the season. Credit to Duhaime for trying to get something going, but at the same time, I think bit off a little more than he can chew, and you get worried now that the suspension might be coming his way, actually, after what happened during that game as well. So real rough times for Minnesota. They've had struggles in their own end all year. It continued yesterday, and now we really have to think the clock is ticking on Dean Evason as they are going to Sweden for that trip. But definitely some decisions going to have to be made there. Vancouver, a 5-2 win against Montreal. Miracle best bet win. And I mean miracle best bet win for me with the over there. I don't know how the hell that cashed, but it did. We'll take it. We won't apologize for it. We'll take the money. We'll take the win. But it gets there. 5-2 Canucks with the win. Some empty net shenanigans late in that game, helping the cause quite a bit. And then how about the Columbus Blue Jackets? Great effort, but they fall short 4-3 to the New York Rangers in a shootout. The draw hit, though, for me, plus 410 for me on that draw at FanDuel. Great price. Good to see that. I would have been even happier if Columbus won because I took a shot with them plus 205 as well. But they lose in the shootout. And, man, was it worth the wait? I told people, be patient. You can't just give up on the kid right away. But Alexis Lafreniere has arrived, folks. This is the best hockey he's played. He's playing with great confidence. He's got multiple goals now in multiple games. He's on a great point streak in recent games. He's got his confidence going, and he's looking like that number 1 overall pick from a few years ago. It took a while, but we're starting to see Alexis Lafreniere really start to find his game. He was spectacular. Best forward, best player on the team, really, for the New York Rangers. Shout out to Adam Fantilli, too. Great comments in the post game saying, I'm sick of losing. I don't like losing. I think we're better than this. And credit to him for sticking up for his teammate Marchenko, who got absolutely crunched in open ice by Jacob Trouba, who was as good an open ice hitter, sometimes dirty, but that time was fairly clean, a good open ice hitter, as good as it gets in the NHL. And look, I don't think Fantilli would, in a normal circumstance, be looking to pick a fight with Jacob Trouba, but the fact he stepped up to the plate and actually, challenged him, got in his face. Credit to him. He's just a rookie, man. He's a young kid, and he had no fear whatsoever to get into Jacob Trouba's face there. Very impressive. And a nice bounce back for Anaheim, 4-1 against San Jose. Another bargain bin hits for me with Mason McTavish getting a goal plus 320 in that game. And a nice bounce back from Anaheim. They needed it because their schedule is about to get tough again. They had lost a couple in a row against the Flyers and Penguins, and they bounced back. They beat the Sharks last night, although brutally tough beat for the live over, and that's sickening because you guys deserve better, including my colleague with that one. Alex, thoughts on Sunday?
Yeah, we'll start and get that out the way. I mean, that was really rough, and was reading this all the way through the late in the second period. seeing the pace and tempo we wanted, and then definitely getting the price plus 120 to plus 125. Got 2 quick goals in the third period, but could not get that third one. 7 scoreless minutes the rest of the way. And so unfortunate that we end up losing that one, but a good win for Anaheim. Much needed win, like you said, as their schedule gets a little bit tougher. They hit the road. 2 tough locations, Nashville and then Denver against the Avalanche this week. So they've got more than enough they can deal with this week. The Hawks game, that's a tough Hawks game, and that's one you got to win. I know in the grand scheme of things, it's still the rebuild. Yes, you're not, ready for, contention or anything like that. But when you have Connor Bedard playing that well in the game, giving you not one but 2 highlight reel goals to tie the game, and you kill off a crucial 4-minute power play, which that's large because it's Bedard that got hit. Nick Foligno doing his job, stepping up for his teammate. He gets I think that was a terrible call that he ended up getting 4 minutes for that roughing penalty. But the Hawks kill it off, end up getting a power play to end the second period. They have all the momentum in the world on their side right now, and they just couldn't quite finish it. And that's where the problem in there lies. The issues of not being able to finish, in those key moments late in games, and that develops over time. But seeing Bedard, like I said, the comfortability level is just so high with him right now. 12 games in, 9 goals. He's taunting the crowd. He's got his swagger, and the fact that he's able to do this now, this early with this bad of a team, essentially, it's just it shows you that there's a flower there blooming and blossoming right now, and that's going to become contagious. Those older guys like a Taylor Hall, like a Corey Perry, they'll feed off of that. Those guys who are just right on the cusp of being, great players like a Jason Dickinson and Ryan Donato, they'll feed off of that. So it's a great thing to see. It's just tough that they end up not getting the 2 points out of that game, but that was certainly a fun one to watch. That's the most enjoyment I've had watching a Hawks game in quite some time, honestly, as a fan, for sure. And then we go down the street, West 7th, to the XL Energy Center, and it's just an absolute disaster. Complete shit show that is the Minnesota Wild, losing 8-3. And I'm already upset because Dean Evason's coaching this game where I was wishing he'd be fired about 2 weeks ago, cashing my 28-1 ticket. Instead, I get, a measly $20 because I bet Jay Woodcroft last minute. And here we are, just the same old crap, just poor defensive play, poor goaltending, Dallas doing whatever they want, anytime they want. And the crowd completely being out of it because Dallas took the crowd out of it. And all of a sudden, it's 3-1 in the first period. And like you said, Duhaime trying to be the agitator, get things going, but goes a bit too far. Now you give your team, you get yourself kicked out of the game, give your team a 5-minute power play, a penalty kill you have to deal with. Dallas comes out in the third period, get 2 goals, and they run away with it, make it an absolute rout. And then it hits me. There's a reason why Jay Woodcroft got fired yesterday morning, and a reason Dean Evason still has his job, and a reason DJ Smith has his job. The NHL, which of course, the National Hockey League, they have to protect their product and all their different, special games and special things of interest. Well, what are the 2 biggest points of interest we've had as far as games go? We already had the Heritage Classic with Calgary and Edmonton, and we're about to have this week 4 games take place in Stockholm, Sweden. 2 of the teams involved with that, the Minnesota Wild and the Ottawa Senators. So the NHL wants that to be the showcase. They want the big game outdoors in Alberta in the cold. They want, guys going back home to Sweden and the legacy of players who've played for those franchises from that have come from Sweden. That's the storyline. They don't want a coach getting fired being the storyline. So I really believe, I don't know if it's just a full-on mandated rule, but I'm sure there's probably a little nudge and wink from the league officer saying, hey, we know you're going through some things, but maybe try to hold on to your coach before you get through this trip or before you get through this big stadium game. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. When a team needs to change something right then, they need to do it right then, but they have to serve the league at the end of the day. And I think that's the reason why those of us who had 28-1, or those of you who might have had plus 500, plus 600 on DJ Smith, for me, 28-1 on Evason to get fired first. That's why it didn't come true. So it's something we have to now make a note of with our handicapping moving forward. We have to start looking at what are some of these early event things and situations, and maybe even road trips. Talked about that with Woodcroft. Those last 2 games. That last game after San Jose, they didn't want to fire him on the road. They come back home and they make that firing move. So we have to kind of look at the schedule and use that as our handicapping tool of sorts to kind of pinpoint when we'll start looking at these first coach fired props moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like we know what's about to happen, but I'm pretty confident in this. Alex, I think, is pretty confident in this, and he's closer to the situation and the team than I am, being right there in Minnesota. But we really do think that Dean Evason's going to be fired after this Swedish trip. That's when it's going to happen. And it's going to be one of those deals where it doesn't matter if he goes 2-0 on this Swedish trip. Doesn't matter. He ain't making it back with the team to North America, essentially, with his job, that is. That's when we sense it's going to happen. When they get back to Minnesota, following the week and weekend in Stockholm, Sweden, and the 2 games there, that's when they're going to make that change. And there's nothing that can happen in those 2 games for the Minnesota Wild that's going to alter this decision. Just like with Woodcroft, the Seattle game didn't mean a tinker's dam to the end result. And the end result was goodbye and giving him his walking papers, which I don't agree with that one. But I think you can make a bit stronger case for it with Dean Evason. I do think that team in greater need of a shakeup right now. That was a bad hit by Duane's going to get something for that hit. He's going to get suspension of some kind. There's no question about that. And look, I credit him for trying to put some life into this lifeless bunch right now that is the Minnesota Wild, but that's definitely stepping over the line. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, once again, in reference to, like I said, with this whole global series thing, will he be able to appeal his suspension because he's going to be away from the country where he wouldn't be able to even do an in-person hearing, and then he'll be able to play in those 2 games, and then they'll deal with all that once he gets back to North America. So it's just kind of interesting. I hate these European games anyway. I'm telling you right now, I'm not waking up at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning to watch Wild and Maple Leafs on Sunday.
7 a.m. Central Sunday morning, Leafs Wild? No.
I'll be waking up about 30 minutes before to get ready for this show. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm telling you right now. It's absurd. And I get you're trying to capture the NFL buzz of having all these games in Germany and London. I've been tired of that for years too. The NHL, this is not the way. I get you're trying to do things as far as growing the game globally, because God knows they don't know about hockey in Sweden. But okay, do that, but let's keep the games at a reasonable time. If people aren't going to stay up late at night to watch the games, you think people are going to wake up at the crack of dawn to start watching hockey? Yeah. It's just a bad move, but I can go on and on about that.
But they're trying to grow the game, trying to showcase the NHL to the. And look, there's some good European hockey fans that follow and love the NHL there. I don't doubt that. There's some great hockey.
There's a ton of them.
Yeah, there's a ton of them, and so I get why they're doing it, but I don't begrudge them of that. It's just the timing could be a little, like, at least put it in the afternoon, like make it night games over there, have some courtesy for, the fan base where you're trying to entertain them year round. Like put the game at night, at least over there for the Swedish people, a night games only. So that at least in North America, they're afternoon games. I mean, 7 a.m. is lunacy. I think you can do better than that. You don't have to stick it early afternoon over there in Stockholm. With all due respect to one of our great viewers and listeners, Evan, who I know lives over there in Europe right now, and I know the time difference isn't going to affect him all that much, but he'll be happy with the start times there in Sweden. But nevertheless, let's try to make it half and half. Make them night games there in Sweden, so that at least they're like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Eastern. Over here, like what they're doing for the Friday game with the Leafs and the Red Wings. It's like 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central on Friday. That's when they should be starting. Yeah.
Even the Saturday 10 a.m. start. I have no problem with that. Yeah, okay, do that. And it was funny. I'm scrolling through the schedule. We're doing some writing and notes yesterday, and I'm looking, and all of a sudden I go, wait a minute. I'm like, it's 10 a.m. and then it goes, this is 8 a.m. Eastern. Like, so what do it's like, do you really think that there's going to be people who are going, the ratings are going to be awful? Oh, and that's the other thing too, by the way. These aren't like NHL Network or like TNT or ESPN games. No, these will all be found on ESPN Plus if you're subscribing to it. So they're not making any effort to show this game here in North America to try to draw any people in to say, hey, you want to wake up and make breakfast and watch hockey? No, because now you got to go through another hoop to even try to watch the game. It's not going to just be readily on TV.
I love that there's more games on ESPN networks and TNT this year. They've done a nice job.
Definitely.
But there's no reason you can't put the Friday game at the very least, Leafs Red Wings, or even the Sunday morning game, Leafs Wild, on TNT or ESPN main network, or even ESPN2. Put it on one. Right. Like what are we preempting on Friday afternoon from TNT if we're gonna runs of Law and Order? Like, what the hell are we taking out to put the hockey game on?
Because, oh my God, how can I live missing an episode of Pardon the Interruption instead of watching a live hockey game? Ridiculous.
No, it is. To me, these Swedish games should have gotten on TNT, and they got a million turners too. They've put playoff hockey on TBS because there's playoff basketball on TNT. You can put it on TBS if you want to, as well. These games. So yeah, that was a big mistake. Or is it NHL? Yeah, I forgot about that, John. Yeah, NHL Network actually might have them. Probably they will have them, but it would be greater visibility if
I
it was
didn't see that. I didn't see that listing. Now maybe that is the case, but what I saw listed was that it's for, especially for the Saturday and Sunday games. That wasn't there. I saw all the ESPN Plus and the Hulu stuff for the 2 p.m. Thursday, Friday games. Did not see that listed for Saturday, Sunday. So check around. We could be wrong, but based on what I saw, that's not the case.
Yeah, so it is. Keep an eye. I just thought that, if you're trying to showcase the league and over there in Sweden, one of your prime hockey nations, NHL Network does have every suite. So there you go, NHL Network nationally for everyone in the East. Okay, that's better than nothing, but still, TNT or ESPN could have gotten it on there. I think it would have been greater visibility.
Well, that's the thing. And if you want to promote the game, right, globally, right, like not just have this thing in Sweden, but have the experience or build the experience of us in North America watching a game that's taking place over in Europe. Talk about the larger ice size and the different things, and talk about how the game is different. And, make a whole production just like you do with all the outdoor games. Make that production here for us. Otherwise, it's just going to look like, oh, it's another game being played in some weird ass stadium at a random ass time.
Yep, I agree. Good points made. And like I say, I think I just would have liked to have seen them get these games on the two, national TV, homes of the NHL, ESPN or TNT. With all due respect to NHL Network, and it's great that they're going to be on there. I think it would have been even better if it's on one of the two, networks that you're partnered with, TNT or ESPN. All right, that's enough of that diatribe. Let's move on. We've got two games tonight. We will begin with the New York Islanders taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers minus 160, home favorite, 6.5, the total. Of course, that dog and pony show called a press conference yesterday. Kind of funny to hear that the one guy, the president there, saying one thing and Holland kind of contradicting him in the same press conference just a few minutes later. I mean, I just really think they're kind of like throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks right now. This Edmonton team deciding to get rid of a coach that is not going to be unemployed for very long. Jay Woodcroft will land on his feet. We said that yesterday. So in comes Chris Knobloch, the new head coach. Look, he's deserving of a head coaching opportunity. I did not expect him to get this job, obviously, in Edmonton. I don't think anybody did, but he was definitely knocking on the door of being a head coach in the NHL. Done a nice job with the Hartford Wolfpack in the AHL, the Rangers affiliate. No question. He's done great work there. And he does have, history with Connor McDavid. Coached Connor McDavid with the Erie Otters in the Ontario Hockey League about a decade ago. He also coached Dylan Strome. They had some really good players back in those days. Dylan Strome and others on those Erie teams. Chris Knobloch coached all of them. So this guy has been paid his dues. And like I said, I think he's ready for an NHL opportunity to be a head coach. I just didn't expect it to be this one. I feel like I'm going to fall prey a little bit to the head coaching angle. We've talked about this for years. We've seen it for years, especially the first game. It's a bump. You see it. Players respond. They play, it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call to urgency and intensity for at least the first game after a coaching change. It wouldn't shock me to see that from the Edmonton Oilers here tonight against quite frankly, a New York Islanders team that is not playing great hockey right now. They're 5-8 on the season. Lane Lambert, and this is another thing too. You talk about impatient fan bases. The fire the head coach chants, man. It was fire Lindy at the beginning of last year for New Jersey. Fire DJ Smith. We've heard it already in Ottawa. We've heard it in little bits and in different games, different teams, and we heard it actually the other night for fire Lane Lambert. Believe it or not, some Islander fans started to chant that, at the Islanders in their last home game against the Capitals, which was a debacle. I mean, that's a bad look, losing 4-1 at home to the Washington Capitals in that game. And then, of course, that's 4 straight losses for them: Boston, Minnesota, Carolina. This is actually a very beatable opponent right now for Edmonton, lacking confidence. The defensive game has fallen off, and Sorokin has fallen off a little bit. I think it's now time we can say that. It hasn't been that same goalie this year for the New York Islanders. He struggled big time in between the pipes for them. Their defensive game, they're not the attention to detail defensively is missing from the Islanders. It hasn't been the way it was under Barry Trotz. There's no question about that. And look at Sorokin's numbers: 3.24 goals against, 907 save percentages are positively mediocre numbers for a goalie that was absolutely outstanding. But I don't put it all on Sorokin. This is just the team in front of him is not airtight, like they once were. So there's a bunch of things I like. I'm going to go with Edmonton first period puck line. I think that's the best approach. Fly in the first 20 minutes, coaching change, intention, step to attention. We see it so many times, and you can get a nice plus 140, plus 145 with the Oilers in the first period. That to me is what I like the most. Maybe a little sprinkle on the team total over 3.5 for the Oilers, which I prefer taking that than betting them on a money line or regulation or anything like that, especially at home, where more often than not they can, score 4 goals. And they did finally break out offensively against Seattle in the final game before Jay Woodcroft got canned Saturday night with a nice 4-1 victory against Seattle there. So Edmonton first period puck line, little sprinkle on over 3.5 team total. I wouldn't even talk anyone out of over 6.5. And you would think, what are we doing here? Islander games, we're betting it over. Well, right now the Islanders are struggling a little bit off defensively for sure. The question is, can they do enough offensively, because they have only scored 5 goals in the last 3 games combined, but it's not like Edmonton has been shutting teams down repeatedly. So that one I like the least, over 6.5. I do prefer more the Oiler team total, and especially the first period puck line. I do think that's great value, plus price for a team that you would think first period of action after the coaching change, you get them flying in the first 20 minutes tonight. What do you think here, Alex? Islanders, Oilers?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everybody's going to be looking to see how does Edmonton respond right out of the gate with a new coach, and like I said, with Knobloch, and I know John
Connor
Matson
will
mentioned.
respond, McDavid, that is, just because he
Oh,
knows Knobloch. I'm sure he likes Knobloch. They obviously have good rapport going back to Erie, and it's got to be one of those Shaquille O'Neal deals. General leads, the troops will follow. McDavid's flying tonight. It'll get everybody else going.
Yeah, and that biggest thing too is going to be, like I said, their pace is going to dictate everything from how the crowd reacts to how the Islanders respond and bounce back to just everything. So Edmonton, like I said, they're going to come out guns blazing. I think it's going to have the feel and kind of that tense of like a playoff game in that first 10, 20 minutes. But I don't know if it's necessarily going to just be all Edmonton all the time. Like I said, Islanders have a lot of pressure on them. Getting away from home, getting away from the Fire Lambert chance, starting a road trip. This is kind of a fresh break for them. I think we could see pace going both ways here. And I know the Islanders, for them to get things back on track, it means tightening things up defensively. That might take some time there as well. Same thing with the Oilers. Yes, they got the new coach, but there's still a lot of issues that are going on the ice. You got other players in that forward group that aren't, pulling their weight. You got goaltending issues. I like both teams to score in the first period, plus 155, and I also took a little sprinkle on first period over 1.5. I grabbed minus $1.40 at Caesars. If it's a little bit higher, which it is at most shops, wait and try to grab something quickly, like 1 to 2 minutes into the game, and get a little bit of a lower price. But I think we see goals going back and forth here, and then we see the pace kind of settle down a little bit in the second period and beyond. I don't want to side here. I just want to stick with the total and just kind of watch this game out, see how both teams respond in these different situations. Because like I said, we could be talking about an Islanders team that could be firing their coach 4 games from now once they get back home after this road trip. And we're talking about an Oilers team that's already made that change. Now they're trying to get their way back up top.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not laying a price either, John. That's the thing. People think I'm on Edmonton, I'm laying a price. I'm not laying a price. I wouldn't lay minus 160 with them. Not a chance. What I'm doing is I'm taking a plus number, plus 145, plus 150 with first period puck line, and I'm taking their team total a little bit over 3.5, and that's a plus price as well. You can get plus 105, with the Oilers team total over 3.5 right now. So that's what I'm looking to do. I would never endorse minus 160. And even though I like Edmonton in this spot, there's better value and better prices and better ways to go about it, certainly, than laying minus 160. As far as props go, yes, Rich H is onto the line combos. I was just about to mention them. Sam Gagner, at least Knobloch, going into his first game behind the bench, he's got Sam Gagner, the veteran, playing with McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Talk about a new look first line. Wow. Chris Knobloch's not scared to shake things up a little bit. And look, this guy's played good, Gagner, believe it or not. 2 goals and an assist. He's definitely going to have value in his props tonight. Kane, Draisaitl, and Hyman, the second line. I'm a little disappointed after the great game against Seattle, including a fight, by the way, against Vince Dunn, that Dylan Holloway got dropped to the third line, but he's there with McLeod and Fogle. I would still consider Dylan Holloway, man, as far as props go. I think this kid he's got so much potential there. He has not obviously found the consistency yet since he's been an Oiler, but Dylan Holloway can play. He's got skill, a high-level draft pick. Maybe the coaching change, good thing for him. That's the one thing I'll say about Woodcroft in a negative. He buried Dylan Holloway constantly. He really didn't. Now, maybe look, I get it. Holloway's been bad defensively as a forward at times. I get it. He's really struggled away from the puck. And I think they got to Woodcroft and it was like, enough. You got to play better, kid, away from the puck. I know you got skill and you got finish, but you got to commit away from the puck. A 200-foot game at both ends of the ice. And he didn't do that enough. And I think Woodcroft didn't like it. So I actually think breath of fresh air, maybe for him in particular, Holloway with Knobloch now taking over as head coach, maybe more of an opportunity for him. So, and look, he had a great game against Seattle. So maybe some Holloway props for the Islanders. Absolutely. In terms of Wahlstrom is not I like Wahlstrom more, Nick Earl, and he's the Islander fan of the bunch here. I liked Wahlstrom more with his props on the top line. It looks like he's dropped down to the third line again. Maybe you take Simon Holmstrom again instead, because Simon Holmstrom's been moved up to the top line here for the Islanders. Simon Holmstrom with Horvat and with Barzal. And Simon Holmstrom has suddenly perked up lately for the Islanders. He scored 3 goals in the last 5 games, actually. He's been one of their better players offensively and they haven't had a ton of guys going for them offensively, but Simon Holmstrom for the New York Islanders has 3 goals in the last 5 games. So I think his props are worth a look tonight in this game for sure. Absolutely. Playing on the top line as well, as I mentioned, with Horvat and Barzal. No doubt about it. Simon Holmstrom, a little bit undervalued here going into this game. All right, second game of this Monday card, Colorado, Seattle. Feels like these teams have played each other a ton of times, and it's true. This will be their 3rd regular season meeting already this year. Colorado minus 150, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Jared Bednar is angry as I've ever heard him, bar none, after the game against St. Louis on Saturday. And that was a debacle. I mean, you don't expect the Blues to go into Denver and just absolutely just crush this Colorado Avalanche team. And that is exactly what we saw on Saturday night. It was about as angry and disappointed as I've ever heard Jared Bednar. Jared Bednar hasn't had to crack the whip very often with this group, but he wasn't impressed with the level of quit in the game for the Avalanche after they got down in the third period there. They just almost kind of went away and said, not our night. He didn't like that one bit. You would think there's going to be a response here from the Avs. The Avs have not been great away from home, though. 4-3, an okay road record, not great. The good news is Seattle hasn't been good at home. 2-4 for them at Climate Pledge Arena coming into this game. But you're right. A good point there by Bo. Next win for the Avs will be Bednar's 300th coaching win. He was not happy after that. So you got to think they respond early. This is kind of the same approach I'm taking with the Edmonton game, where the first 20 minutes, you got to expect Colorado's off to a flying start. And rather than lay, minus 150 on the road with Colorado, just like with the Edmonton game, I'd rather take Edmonton first period puck line plus 150 than take Edmonton minus 160. Same with this game. I'd rather take Colorado first period puck line here tonight against Seattle rather than Colorado money line. So, I do like Colorado a little bit here in this one as far as response after one of the worst losses they've suffered, especially one of the worst losses they've suffered at home, in quite some time. So Colorado first period puck line as well for me here, minus a half, plus 160. Very good price at DraftKings, plus 160 for that Avs first period puck line. Lean to the Avs team total over. They did win in Seattle earlier this season. So not only are they off that debacle against St. Louis, but they actually lost at home to Seattle last week, the game before the St. Louis game, 4-3. The Kraken won against the Avs in Denver. But before that, October 17th in the first meeting in Seattle, Colorado got the job done and they won 4-1 in that game. So I definitely trust Colorado here a little bit. It's not a good sign for Seattle that, it's not like Edmonton was playing with a boatload of confidence when they rolled into the Emerald City on Saturday night and beat the Kraken 4-1. And somehow still they did. So Colorado team total over 3.5 a little bit. and also the first period puck line. Great price on that. -0.5, +160. What do you think here, Alex? Avs, Kraken.
Yeah, slight lean with that first period puck line. Like I agree with you. I think Colorado will come out and at least be able to kind of dictate the pace early. Like, this Seattle team has just been so disappointing, but I think we can see this kind of go back and forth. And the way that I've kind of, it's funny, we talked about how often we've seen these teams even going back to last postseason. And it seems like more often than not, I'm watching these two teams live and kind of trying to jump in whenever these two teams face off. So this is when I have kind of circled the live game. Just kind of going to see where the pace is. Maybe Colorado jumps out to a lead, and we look for Seattle to score next, and then we can, get that tying goal, and then try to bounce and grab Colorado at cheaper price money line. So there's a couple of different things I might be looking at. So it's a live game, staying off of it now, but there is a player prop that I do like in this contest. I'll be talking about it in a little bit.
Sounds like a preview and a little bit of a commercial advertisement, if you will, for the bargain bin special of the night coming up in just a little bit. In terms of goaltending, you're right. I think I saw some rumblings that we might be seeing a Joey Decord sighting in net for the Kraken tonight.
That is confirmed.
Yes, confirmed. There it is. So, Joey Decord, not confirmed for Colorado. And the one thing that does concern me, although hopefully it won't show up in the first period so much, but one thing that does concern me is Alexander Georgiev. After an outstanding first, I think, couple of weeks, his game has really tailed off. It's really declined. And look, have they played great hockey in front of him consistently? No, but definitely this Colorado team has definitely not had as good goaltending lately from Georgiev, and we'll see if he's in net. They actually might end up not starting him because of just the struggles he's had lately. And if he doesn't go, that means we're going to see Prosvetov again in net for the Avalanche. Although Prosvetov's been okay the couple of times we've seen him this year.
Yes.
Hasn't been that bad. And maybe you just need to give, Georgiev some extra time to get his game back together, kind of like what the Leafs did with Ilya Samsonov, the last couple of weeks. They just gave him a couple of games to just, clear your head, work with the goalie coach in practice, try to get your fundamentals back on track in between the pipes. And maybe you're going to end up seeing that here for Colorado in this game. So for me, first period puck line, smaller bet for me probably on the Avs team total, but I just like the Edmonton game. I prefer the first period angle just because of the price. +160 for Avs first period puck line, and then in the other game it was +150 with the Edmonton Oilers in the first period puck line. And then for props in this game, for Seattle, it's I believe in the top line right now, it's still Yamamoto. We're waiting for him to click. It hasn't happened yet. I'm almost done waiting at this point. Quite honestly, you got certainly Jaden Schwartz, Jared McCann, guys you rely on, but it's a Seattle team that's definitely had their lack of consistency with offensive production. Tonight, it looks like Nichushkin, McKinnon, and here's Jonathan Drouin back on the top line. It's hard to bet these Avs props because Bednar is one of these guys that he will not hesitate to change the lines during a game, if things aren't looking right. So that's the problem. You want to place a bet on someone that's moving up to the top line. You'd like them to be on that top line for more than one fucking period. That's the problem sometimes with betting Colorado player props. You see these pregame lineup adjustments, and then Bednar sticks with them for 20 damn minutes, and we're not playing well. Blender time, and the lines are all changed again in the second period. And the guy that you bet on, because he's on the top lines, back on the fourth line or riding the pine. That's the issue that I find with betting some of these, player props for Colorado, because Bednar is just so quick to change his lines when things aren't working properly. So definitely playing it cautiously lately when it comes to Colorado player props for sure. All right, great stuff. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. 190 live viewers. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Make sure you become a Family Plan member and subscriber. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, the Patreon page as well. And of course, the Family Plan, our daily betting card, player props, Alex's live looks and live wagers posted there. We are going to have another special exclusive only betcast. It's probably going to be next week. We'll give you that. It's probably going to be next week, but we won't give you the day or the time. We're just going to pop on and say, we're on the air. It's a betcast. Here you go. Come on in. And it'll be one of those betcasts like the one we did last week. The first exclusive betcast will be on for like 2-3 hours, that kind of thing. and just give you an impromptu betcast next week again. But you must be a Family Plan or Patreon member and subscriber to be part of that. So again, check it out. The Ice Guys Family Plan, $9.99 US per month.
Also, check out the Patreon page, Ice Guys, patreon.com/Ice Guys. $10 a month. We got the goalie charts finally updated. Big shifts around my power rankings as well. I know Ian will have power rankings up as also. Also going to have an article coming out this week. We're going to revise a couple of things talking about some tips with live betting. And we're going to have a bunch more as well. And we also have Chris Otto's period charts as well. So all that there, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 a month.
All right. Definitely good stuff to check out. No question about that. The Chris Otto's totals are absolutely terrific. Great resource for those of you betting period by period totals. All right. We cashed a bargain bin special of the night winner last night. Mason McTavish for the Anaheim Ducks finds the back of the net at plus 320. Let's see what we can deliver for an encore tonight. Alex, you said you're in action tonight, so we'll start with you. What's your bargain bin?
Yeah, there's a reason I'm wearing this Seattle Kraken jersey. It's not for the sides, not for the totals, it's for a player prop. And, taking a look at some guys moving up and down the different lines, looking at Eli Toivonen on the power play on that back point. He's the guy who's already been lighting it up. He's had 3 assists and 2 goals in his last 4 games. You can get him right now to get you a power play point. I'm looking right now, just bet this at plus 425, bet MGM. So that's my bargain bin special night. Eli Toivonen to get a power play point, plus 425 for the Seattle Kraken.
Excellent. Yeah, there's one book that has better than that, but it's the Canadian book, Bet99, Bet99, plus 440. But for the most part, plus 425 is the best you can get. Still a great price. So Eli Toivonen, Seattle Kraken, power play point, plus 425 for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, we're going to go back to that Oilers and Islanders game for a bargain bin special of the night. Couple of considerations here on the Edmonton side. Definitely, I considered Gagne playing on the top line with McDavid, and he's plus 470 at FanDuel. But I'm going to go with, just because I like the form he's in, and even though I like Edmonton in the game, are they going to shut out the Islanders? Doubtful. And if there's one guy that's going to score for the Islanders right now, it's Simon Holmstrom. We're going to go back to him here tonight. He's got 3 goals in the last 5 games for the New York Islanders. He has been one of their better offensive catalysts during this recent skid they've been on. And he's playing on the top line with Bo Horvat and Matt Barzal. So he's going to get the minutes. He's going to get the ice time here for the Islanders. Simon Holmstrom for the New York Islanders. And again, you can get a pretty good price here. I'm seeing plus 500 at DraftKings and BetMGM, plus 550 at FanDuel, and I am even seeing plus 600 at Caesars for Simon Holmstrom of the New York Islanders tonight on the top line, and not only on the top line, up the lineup, but he's come through. He is producing right now. 3 goals in the last 5 games for him with the New York Islanders. So Simon Holmstrom, New York Islanders, plus 600 at Caesars. We'll lock that in for a big-time bargain bin special of the night for this Monday card. Nick Earl, I agree with Dobson. Dobson's shooting the puck a lot lately, especially with the team scuffling a bit offensively. Edmonton can give up goals to defensemen. He's got 2 goals in the last 4 games for the Islanders, shooting the puck a lot. I actually like that look as well. Dobson, he's probably right up there as one of my favorite options on the Islanders outside of Holmstrom. So yeah, I agree. Dobson is worth a look, but Holmstrom at plus 600 will be my bargain bin special of the night for this Monday card. All right, best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we'll go with that Colorado and Edmonton game, or sorry, New York Islanders Edmonton game. We're going with that for the first period. Both teams to score plus 155 at BetMGM. Shop around, they might see some prices that are within that range. But like I said, Edmonton's going to come out hot. I think Islanders are going to come out a little bit hot too. They've got something to prove, starting a 4-game road trip. He said, hearing all the rumblings, cases Zekas most notably being really upset about hearing those Fire Lambert chants in the crowd. So I think we're going to see goals both ways here. So let's go with the plus money, plus 155, Isles and Oilers, both teams to score in the first period.
All right, there it is. First period. I like that, actually. I could see that happening. Both teams to score first period, plus 155, Islanders, Oilers. for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. My best bet for this one, I'm going to keep it simple. Let's go with the Edmonton Oilers first period puck line, -0.5. I'll go for a nice plus price here, plus 150. Oilers first period puck line, take the lead early in the first 20 minutes, show that urgency with the new head coach and a guy that's Connor McDavid is very familiar with, knows him from the Erie Otters days in the Ontario Hockey League. I think you get a good effort from the captain, and everyone else follows in line after that. So Edmonton first period puck line. I don't want Edmonton money line. I want nothing to do with any regulation or full game puck line or money line on Edmonton. I still don't love the prices enough, but I do like that first period puck line look. -0.5, plus 150 for the Edmonton Oilers. First period puck line for my best bet here for this Monday NHL card. And yeah, not a bad thought. There's Cuban Wayne Gretzky about Cizikas. He's the one that showed a lot of anger regarding the Fire Lane Lambert chance. Does he go out and try to prove it by scoring a goal tonight? You are getting plus 750. That is a hell of a price. I will say that. Now, he's not a big time goal scorer, obviously, but certainly I would expect the effort to be there for Casey Cizikas tonight in that game. So not a bad thought to take a small shot there at plus 750 with him to find the back of the net. Great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. David Shelton, another very, very kind donation, $9.99. We appreciate it very much. Shout out to David Shelton. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back tomorrow on Tuesday for another edition of the Ice Guys.